This is part 8 of my weekly ongoing, ever-increasing series where I try to make $180 a week selling covered calls on HIMS stock. So, how much money did I make this week? Now, I say ever-growing because it started off with me saying, hey, look, there's a lot of mistruths and half-truths about covered calls on social media. I'm going to show you a way where you can make a reasonable amount of money, right? Other people are saying you can make thousands per week, and that's possible, as I'll show you. But for more attainable goals, yeah, you can do around 180 a week. So let's take a look. These were my covered call positions last week. All of them are gone except for end phase, which expires this week. So you can see that I made $1,033, but I failed to hit my goal of 180 on HIMS. I made 80, but then I purchased another 200 shares. I purchased Oklo 100 shares. I purchased 200 shares of Joby. Now, a lot of people were saying, are you going to do this every week, these same companies, so I can copy you? First of all, I don't do copy trading. This is not a copy trading channel. I cannot stand copy trading. If you want to copy someone, follow somebody else. This channel teaches you how to make your own decisions. I have videos in my other playlist, not this one, but the other covered call playlist. I think it's video number 46 that shows you how I find these companies. I use screeners, and they change every week. Now, somebody else said, if you were good at this, you would do the wheel method on Joby, and it would get assigned, and then you'd sell a cash secured put, and you'd make money on both ends. Here's why I don't want to do that with Joby. This is Joby Aviation, and you can see over the last 10 days that it has absolutely ripped, hitting all-time highs or 52-week highs, indicating to me that there could be a rather large pullback. Now, everyone says, oh, you should just sell cash secured puts. Well, I think this stock could get into the $14 or $15 strike range. Price range, I mean. So here we are on Joby now. I've changed it. It's Joby. If I think this could get to $15, I can make $10 per contract. I buy 2 or 3 contracts. I make $30. Now, I don't want to not necessarily tie up my money because I'm not having to spend anything until I'm assigned, which could be at the end of the week. But if I turn out to be assigned, I don't want to tie up, $3,000-$4,000 to make $30. I'd rather put that $3,000 or $4,000 into something else. So this is what I did this week. Now this is HIMS, and you can see that I did hit my goal of $180 a week. Well, it's showing 535 because I bought 300 shares. But if you were to purchase 100 shares, the premium would have been 178. That's basically 180, right? So I made $535 this week on selling covered calls on my HIMS stock. It cost me almost $15,000. I made 3.6%. Now, there's one interesting note here. I was trying to get the stock under $49.50 this morning. I hesitated. I was looking at the premiums. I was looking at the charts. By the time my order went through, it was $49.57. But I sold a strike price of $49.50 because it was the highest premium, which means I will lose 7 cents on this trade per 100 shares. So I'll lose around, $21, which means I'll still walk out with over $500 in profit if they are assigned, if the stock closes at $49.50 or more on Friday, which it probably will. I spent another $6,800 on Oklo. I bought 100 shares at $68.83 with a strike price of $69. The premium was very high. It was $335 or 4.8%. And finally, I got this one. This is relatively new, which is why I made a smaller position, even though you can see the gain is 7.7%. You might be saying, well, why didn't you just go all in on this one? This is new to me. I don't want to take as big of a chance on this one. I'm still checking it out. Now, you might have said, hey, I looked at the chart, which I'll show you in a second. This might have been a better trade for you. You could have purchased this stock and made way more money on this trade. And I understand that. And if that's what you want to do, by all means, it's your money. Do what you want. For me, making $322 just sitting here in my pajamas with the air conditioning cranking, although I turned it off because it's really loud, I'm happy with this. And it expires on August 1st. So I got 2 weeks out on this one. And this is the chart for Oscar Health. You can see it was 1746, and it's just been in a nosedive over the last couple of weeks here. And this indicates to me a very strong breakout. This stock could easily go from, let's see, I bought it at $13.83. It's already $14. If it stays over 14 on Friday by August 1st, I'll lose the shares. It could easily be $15, $16. I could probably have made more trading it. But I don't want to take that risk. Like I said, it's relatively new to me, and I'm happy with my $322 just kind of sitting here. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is from last week. I still have 100 shares of Enphase. Their earnings come out, I think, tomorrow. So I will be getting back this $3,900 on Friday, assuming Enphase closes above $3,950 by Friday. And of course, another huge risk with trading options, covered calls into earnings like I did with Enphase is if the earnings are bad, the stock drops. Now I'm sitting on a stock that I bought around $39. If it has bad earnings and it drops to say $32, I'm sitting on a loss. The premiums are going to be really low, and that's a risk. You might not feel comfortable with risks like that. I was comfortable taking a chance on this one. If you are not, please don't take risks that you're not comfortable taking. But for the week, I spent $25,903. I made $1,192, which is 4.6% in the week, doing basically nothing. I'm free to basically take off the rest of the week. I don't care if these stocks get assigned. I am 100% in this current strategy to make income, for money. If I believe in these companies long term and I want to invest in them, I could invest in them separately, as I'm doing with HIMS. I also own a position on HIMS that I'm not touching. I'm not selling covered calls because that's a risk. You could lose the shares that you maybe don't want to lose, or you could buy back the option before expiration, which could cost you a lot of money, which you might have to do if you really don't want to lose your shares. You might just have to say, all right, I'm going to take a pretty significant loss on the options to preserve my larger investment. That's one of the risks with the strategy.